If God's word is truly reliable, we would also expect to see God providing a heavenly signal to mark the fulfillment of his appointed times, as prophesied in Genesis 1 verse 14 and Leviticus 23. So, can we find any evidence for such a celestial signal? How exactly did God mark these appointed times that were fulfilled by Israel's Messiah? It is truly amazing to discover that God did indeed mark the spring season of feast days with a very unusual celestial event. This amazing event is usually overlooked, partly because it does not fit in with our understanding of the solar system, but also because what is described is highly unusual and often interpreted as something symbolic only. As a result, this event, as described in God's Word, is usually not given the attention that it deserves. When we look at TorahCalendar.com, a website that is focused on the restoration of the creation calendar, we see that on the eve of Yeshua's crucifixion, there was a lunar eclipse. This in itself would not be something out of the ordinary, except for the fact that it was followed by a massive 3-hour-long solar eclipse that occurred in the same 24-hour period. This unusual event is recorded in the Gospels, and this is Luke's account of the event.
Luke 23, verse 44. And it was about the 6th hour, and there was a darkness over all the earth until the 9th hour. And the sun was darkened, and the veil of the temple was rent in the midst.
To be fair to those who do not believe that the Bible is God's word, that it contains God's ultimate truth, and that it accurately predicts the future, this event was also referenced in the writings of at least 4 secular historians of the same time period during which these events occurred. They are Thallus, Phlegon, Origen, and Africanus. All of them were respected by their peers, and there is no evidence that would suggest that what they wrote were in any way manufactured lies. This is what the Greek historian Phlegon wrote.
In the 4th year of the 202nd Olympiad, there was the greatest eclipse of the sun, and that it became night in the 6th hour of the day, so that stars even appeared in the heavens. There was a great earthquake in Bithynia, and many things were overturned in Nicaea.
Many people brush this event off as impossible, or requiring a symbolic interpretation to understand, as the moon is full at the time when Passover is celebrated. The fact that this solar eclipse lasted for 3 hours, and that it was recorded by at least 4 secular historians, tells us that it was indeed not the moon that caused this eclipse. This darkness that came over the earth was more likely caused by some other celestial entity. The maximum duration for a full solar eclipse, caused by the moon, can never exceed 7 minutes and 29 seconds. To have a 3-hour eclipse of the sun would require a celestial body of substantial size to move between the earth and the sun. Why did nobody see a large object in the skies during Yeshua's crucifixion? And can we find any evidence for the existence of a celestial object that is not commonly known to humanity? If you believe that the elusive object known as Nibiru, Planet X, or Nemesis, is just a subject for conspiracy theorists, then please consider the following. We know from secular media that NASA discovered a foreign celestial object, or planetary system, with particular attributes, in 1983. This was reported in the Washington Post in this news article. The article describes the discovery of a planet or planetary system that could possibly be part of our solar system. It was discovered by a telescope on the United States infrared astronomical satellite. It is described as extremely cold, and those who discovered it could not tell what exactly it was, as it was apparently shrouded in a dense cloud of dust. Another aspect that is mentioned, that probably also resulted from the dust shroud, is that this entity reflects no light, and cannot be viewed with any optical telescopes. It describes the object as a possible gas giant that could be as large as Jupiter. In 1983, it was estimated to be about 50 billion miles away from Earth. After this point, no further information was provided, until 9 years later, when another press release also by NASA, found its way out into the public domain. In this release, the writer stated the following:
unexplained deviations in the orbits of Uranus and Neptune point to a large outer solar system body of 4 to 8 Earth masses, on a highly tilted orbit, beyond 7 billion miles from the Sun.
This release provides a little more information with respect to the possible size and the orbit of this object. In addition, we notice that the distance between this object and the Sun, at this point, is estimated to be beyond 7 billion miles away. This would indicate a definite decrease in distance over the 9 years between the two press releases. However, the press release on NASA's website was subsequently removed, and is still missing from the online archives, with NASA posting the following excuse on their website:
this archive is missing some press releases from 1990 through 1994, though the archive ostensibly links to those files. We are working to resolve the problem and apologize for the inconvenience.
NASA has now had more than 2 decades to resolve this problem, and still has not been able to bring back these missing press releases. If I was a NASA astronaut, I would be concerned about the organization's IT capabilities.